In September 2023, a little girl named Lana Lopez disappeared without a trace in the city of San Paulo, Brazil. Family members and neighbors searched on their own, but were unable to find her. When the police began to investigate, they discovered something that shocked everyone.
What's up, guys? How are you doing? In today's video, I'm going to talk about Lana Lopes, a case that happened in Brazil and shocked everyone. So, without further ado, let's get to the video.
On September 13, 2023, around 7:30 p.m., Lana Lopez, a little girl of just 8 years old, left her home located in the city of San Paulo in Brazil. According to her older brother, who was 15 years old, he and Lana were watching TV together until at one point he ended up getting distracted and didn't see the time when the girl left the house. There is also another version of this. In this other version, Lana's brother would have left home and gone to a nearby football field to play football, and when he returned, Lana was no longer at home. Lana lived with her mother and 8 other siblings in a slum, an area considered precarious, whose housing is the result of occupation. The place obviously is not safe at all, especially for a girl who is only 8 years old. But despite this, numerous neighbors stated during an interview that it was common for them to see Lana walking around the neighborhood alone. According to them, they even joked with the girl when they saw her walking barefoot, telling her that she should put on shoes, while the girl replied that she liked to keep her feet on the ground. Neighbors also said that Lana was a loving and happy girl. In their own words, she was a very sweet.
When Lana didn't come home, her mother, along with some of the girl's siblings, went out to look for her. They went to some places in the neighborhood where they thought she would be. They also talked to some neighbors, but nobody had seen her. Due to that, a number of neighbors from the neighborhood discovered that the girl had disappeared and made the decision to participate in the search alongside her family. Until that moment, a considerable number of people believed that Lana was at someone's residence that she was familiar with, and that nothing unfortunate had happened to her.
Although many people helped in the search for the girl, no trace of her was found, and so they decided to turn to the authorities. As soon as the authorities were notified, they immediately began investigations and searches for the girl. During these investigations, the police took statements from several neighbors, and some of them stated that Lana's mother was an addict and used to leave her 9 children alone at home for days. Neighbors also stated that many of them, feeling sorry for the woman's children, took food for them since their own mother did not feed them properly. They said that because their mother left them alone for a long time, it was likely that someone who knew about this had taken advantage and taken Lana. The authorities were even called by neighbors months before. They even went to the family's house, and even though they saw the sad situation of the little ones, they did nothing. When searching for information about the girl's father, the police discovered that he had been shot 17 times a few years ago. However, more information about this event was not made available to the public, and the only thing that is known is that he was a violent man towards both Lana's mother and his children. The searches carried out by the police for the girl, as well as those carried out by neighbors and relatives, were also unsuccessful, and Lana remained missing. At the same time, police officers checked security camera footage from the streets near where Lana disappeared, and that's when a clue emerged. In one of the images, it is possible to see a boy walking next to Lana and interacting with her since her disappearance. These images were what helped the police the most to continue their investigations. In these same images, almost 40 minutes later, it is possible to see the boy returning alone to his house, and it was from that point on that no one else saw Lana.
Later on, the cops managed to identify this kid who, because he's only 13 years old, didn't have his identity revealed. So the police officers pursued him and discovered that he resided in close proximity to Lana's residence. When taken to the police station accompanied by his grandfather, the boy initially said that he had no contact with Lana on the day she disappeared. In his own words, he made it pretty clear that he didn't see the girl that day.
However, when the police chief showed the footage in which he appears next to the girl, walking and interacting with her, he became nervous and gave 5 different versions of what happened that day when Lana disappeared. In one of these versions, he said he had no idea where the girl was because he had sold her for $20 to 3 men who were inside a car. He also said that Lana's 15-year-old brother, the same one who took care of her at home before she disappeared, was in the car with these men and was involved in the girl's disappearance. Lana's brother, in a subsequent statement to the police, denied all these accusations and said he had nothing to do with his sister's disappearance. The police asked the 13-year-old boy for more information about these alleged men who had bought Lana, and he said that one of the men who would be the boss was a resident of the region, addicted to illicit substances whose nickname was Scar. When asked where the $20 he received for selling the girl was, he hesitated and said he no longer had the money. As for his grandfather, the boy said that Lana asked him to accompany her to a place in the neighborhood. He said that he went to this place with the girl and that they passed through a trail improvised by local residents whose area is difficult to access. This specific area is full of woods around it and has a small wooden bridge with a stream running underneath. It was already getting dark by the time they supposedly passed by the place, and it seemed that there was no one else in the vicinity. The boy told his grandfather that after crossing this improvised trail, Lana went one way and he went the other, and after that, he had no more contact with the girl. After the statement ended, the boy was released, but the police continued to keep an eye on him since until then, he was the main suspect in Lana's disappearance. The police managed to identify and locate the man nicknamed Scar, who, according to the 13-year-old boy, had bought the girl. The man, whose identity was not revealed other than his nickname, told police officers that the boy was lying and that he had nothing to do with the disappearance. He also said that the boy invented this whole story just to hide the truth of what really happened to Lana, and that it was something much worse than the story he invented. The police also began to investigate the girl's mother, Patricia, as many residents of the neighborhood began to say that given the way the woman took care of her children, she could have sold her own daughter to get rid of the girl and make a profit. Patricia was taken to give a statement, but as no evidence was found that she was actually linked to her daughter's disappearance, she was released. Due to the threats she was receiving from some residents of her neighborhood, Patricia decided not to return to her home. According to sources, she sought refuge in the house of a relative who lives in another location in the city of San Paulo. All of her children, with the exception of the eldest, who was 15 years old, who stayed with relatives, were taken to a shelter by the authorities. The family's house, whose condition is precarious and shows the terrible situation in which they lived there, was abandoned.
According to some folks in the neighborhood, Lana's older brother has been making threats to some neighbors who blamed his mother for what happened to Lana. According to these residents, there were reports stating that he was walking around the neighborhood with a firearm.
The 13-year-old boy, the main suspect in Lana's disappearance, was accused by the delegate responsible for the case of having helped in the alleged sale of the girl. As a result, he became responsible for this crime. The boy's mother claimed that her son has psychological problems and uses controlled medication. She said that this got worse after his father passed away, and that her son only lied to the police because of these problems he has. However, the police chief didn't really believe this story, and no medical reports were presented to prove that the boy actually suffered from such conditions. The investigations continued, and the police carried out searches and seizures in several homes of possible suspects in the girl's disappearance. One of these searches was carried out at the house of an ex-boyfriend of Lana's mother, and another at the house of her current boyfriend, and when the police arrived at her current boyfriend's house, Lana's mother was there. The police found this strange, as Patricia had omitted that she was still with her current boyfriend. In one of her statements to the police, she said that she was not currently involved in any relationship. However, the police themselves said that this would not place her as the main suspect in the case, but they would investigate why she withheld this information. That was on September 20th, 2023, and just when the police were searching and seizing the house of Lana's mother's current boyfriend, they received a report stating where the girl was. As a result, the police quickly went to the reported location to find out if the information was in fact true. The location reported in the complaint was a well in an isolated area, but close to the neighborhood where Lana lived, 0.31 miles from her house to be more precise. When they arrived at the scene, the police found what everyone feared. In fact, Lana was there, but she was already dead. Due to the body being in an advanced state of decomposition, it was difficult to tell at first glance whether it was really her, but the clothes on the body matched those Lana was wearing the day she disappeared. The news that little Lana was found dead not only shocked the residents of the neighborhood where she lived, but also the whole of Brazil, even more so, due to the fact that the sad outcome was reported live on TV. Angry neighborhood residents gathered close to where the body was and began shouting for justice. A few hours later, the delegate responsible for the case confirmed that the body found actually belonged to Lana. He also said that they were only able to locate him thanks to a report from a man who was passing by and smelled a strong smell coming from the well, and when he went to check, he saw that there was a small body there.
With the discovery of the body, the investigations that were previously focused on the girl's disappearance have now shifted to finding out who was responsible for taking her life. After being extracted from the well, Lana's corpse was transported to the morgue for examination.
The place where she was found was inspected by the police in search of any evidence that could lead to the person responsible for the crime, but according to sources, nothing relevant was found. Later, the police went after the owner of the land where the well where Lana's body was found was located to find out if he had seen or knew anything. The man in question, whose surname is Gaucho, the only information that was available about him, said that he had not seen anything strange there and that he only uses the property to take his cattle to graze. The police did a brief investigation into him, but he had a strong alibi and was ruled out as a suspect. According to some neighbors of Lana's family, her mother, Patricia, had a fight with her current boyfriend days before the crime. Neighbors said that Patricia's boyfriend no longer wanted to have a relationship with her, but she wanted to continue the relationship, and because of that, they fought. The police also investigated this man, but no evidence was found that he was linked to the crime, and as a result, he was also ruled out as a suspect. The autopsy carried out on Lana Lopez's body concluded that she was a victim of forced relations, and the cause of her death was suffocation. Medical examiners found male fluid inside the girl's body. These fluids were extracted and stored so that a DNA test could be carried out on the main suspect in the crime, who was the 13-year-old boy seen in the security camera images with Lana. The police went after the boy, but his mother hid him at her relative's house and didn't want to say where he was. The police then spoke to other family members, including the suspect's grandfather, who told police the boy's location. Upon being located by the police, the boy was taken into custody and had his genetic material extracted so that a DNA test could be carried out. After a few days of waiting, the results came out. In fact, the DNA that was on Lana's body belonged to the 13-year-old boy, and this indicated that he was responsible for the crime. Thus, the boy was arrested and formally charged with the crime. According to Brazilian law, he will be imprisoned until he reaches the age of majority. Lana's body remained in the morgue for almost 2 months, as her mother did not go there to retrieve it. Furthermore, the girl did not have any documents, not even a birth certificate. It was as if she officially did not exist. Lana Lopez was buried in November 2023 in a cemetery in the city of San Paulo. Due to the condition of the body, it was not possible to hold a wake, and she had to be buried directly. The farewell ceremony was attended by some of the girl's family and neighbors who were outraged by this horrible crime.
Well, people, that is all. Thank you very much for watching until the end, and I will see you in the next video.